It's a big day today.
Is it?
Yeah.
What?
Big day. Do you know why?
What? Why?
Because today is the day where we have an actual corporate overlord on the podcast.
Ooh.
So get your knee pads out because you're going to be...
I did my hair. That's how serious I took it.
I did my eyebrows. Does that count?
Did my nose hair this morning.
It does need doing, but it's just one of those things as you get older, isn't
mate.
it? Like the hair, it tries to join up.
It's just piano wire.
It's just it's crazy. But also, it's highly amusing, I find. Body hair is hilarious. To me. But no, we do. So welcome to the Gambling Files podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Bruford, on this biggest of big days, joined by your other host, Fintan Costello. Fintan, hi.
Hello, John.
Fintan, today we're joined by Pini Yakuel, CEO and founder of OptiMove.
He's also really good looking. Did you notice that? That's how good looking he was.
It's not something I'd like to comment on because I don't want him to feel objectified.
He's a striking man. It's just got everything going on. It's just one of those people.
He did come across as being a very considerate lover, though.
Take his time with me. Jesus Christ. See, this is why we don't get the Athletic Greens money, John. We can't keep doing this. This self-sabotage. We're never going to be the Joe Rogans of the gambling industry. Sorry, Penny.
He's sorry. I'm totally not. I stand by what I said.
We held it together so for a minute. 2 seconds.
So anyway.
Jesus Christ, we're rubbish.
We're gonna burn in hell.
This is why you're broke, John. This is why you're broke.
This is why I'm broke and unemployable. yeah.
This is it.
It is all becoming clear, isn't it? So, Pini is kind enough to join us. Who knows? Possibly for the last time. But we're talking about our sponsors today.
It's up for renewal, John.
Oh shit.
They're all going to listen to this.
But if any Optimove employees are listening to or watching this and you disagree in what I said about Pini, please email us.
That doesn't work.
So a little edit there to just take a minute and just calm down.
Regroup. Tidy up our CVs.
Yeah, get ready for, flipping burgers. But Pini very kindly joined us to talk about the positionless marketer.
Yep. He did.
Which is a very interesting concept. He talks about the birth of the concept. And it comes from, he's a huge sports fan, a huge NBA fan. And it's sort of, that helps to illustrate the theory. That's kind of what we talked about, isn't it?
It is. It's a really interesting concept, and it is that evolution of where marketing's going, where you're, it's a big toolbox that you need to carry around with you to get stuff done, and how technology and everything's making that easier.
Big toolbox. You know you're carrying big toolboxes, don't you?
Go on.
Big tools.
Oh, dear God.
Just saying.
Dear God. But Pini's great. Enjoy the episode, and we're really sorry, OptiMove.
Yes. Sorry about that. Fintan really took things down. Welcome to this this guest, this episode. The I could say something demeaning about the podcast, but I don't think this is the right company to do that in, Fintan.
No.
And I could say something about how this chap is the founder and CEO of one of our key sponsors, and that we therefore have to be nice to him. But I'm not going to say that either. But we would like to welcome, in the most penitent way imaginable, esteemed.
This is the politest he's ever been.
Our esteemed guest, our esteemed returning guest, actually. This is his second appearance on the podcast. Pini Yakuel, CEO and founder, sometimes known as the founder and CEO of OptiMove. Pini, welcome back. Although, I should just point out that the first time you appeared, Fintan was busy and was not able to attend, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens occasionally, like for example, the episode I'm just about to put out, but just occasionally.
I'm the occasional co-host.
Yes, I guess we can discuss your relationship in another time, and who's left to do all the work and who's doing most of the work. But,
this is where it comes out.
But do you?
Thanks for having me. Excited.
Pini, does OptiMove have a chairman?
Chairman of the board, you mean? We actually don't have. We have a board of 4 people. I'm one of them, and there is no official chairman. We can name one, but like we're getting along without it so far. So
well, look, if you need one, I know one who's at the moment he's only chairman of this podcast. But you know,
I'm between chairs right now.
Playing musical chairman.
Yes.
So, Pini, we met and we recorded during ICE.
Right.
It was ICE just gone, wasn't it? My God, it doesn't seem like 4 months ago. It was 4 months ago.
It's already June. It's crazy.
Crazy.
It's
the
mad,
year is flying
mad
by.
Flying. That's a great choice of words, Fintan. But we talked about the business and how it how it became established, how you've grown things and all that, and we did all the brown nosing kind of stuff then. So this now what we want to talk about is something that came out of your fairly recent event. You had the OptiMove Connect event in London, right? Which I didn't attend. I've got to be honest here. Fintan, did you go?
We were invited. We were invited, but we couldn't make it. So
it was a blast. You can check out a ton of videos on YouTube if you want to.
It looked amazing.
Some of it
looked really amazing.
Well, yeah, but it's a bold thing for a company to do, to a bold thing for a business to host, I think. But given the depth of the software, I can totally see why. I see what the benefits are, because it's incredibly involved, granular software, and the people that you're pushing it to want detail, they want to be somewhere where they can meet other nerds, I think, as well, like Fintan.
Exactly. Yeah, it was so next time we'll have Fintan. But yeah, it's actually, we've been doing it from 2015. We've had our first OptiMove Connect. At the time it was much smaller. It was just like half a day. So like, one session, one panel or 2 panels, one keynote, like But I think flexing that muscle early actually helped us kind of like to put on like a fully blown 2 day event with all the bells and whistles that we did in London. It was the first time in London also this year, so it was really cool.
Nice.
Where has it been held previously?
Tel Aviv. It was usually on the beach in Tel Aviv, and obviously with the it was supposed to be in October 23, October. You know what happened,
Sure.
so then we canceled it, and then we moved it to London. So we did it kind of like March in London.
Got it. Understood.
Okay.
Understandable. So I was reading your Martech article, the positionless marketer, and I think there's a really interesting concept in there, because you kind of see it play out. Like I'll always bring it back to myself, because it's very self-indulgent to have a podcast. If you like, there's like, so my background is kind of SEO and things like this. So right now in the SEO world, there's massive change, like just huge change. Google updates, algorithm changes, media partnerships don't work anymore, or don't work like they used to, and everything's in flux. And if you kind of read Twitter, like the world's ending and it's never been this bad. But realistically, anybody who's been in marketing for a long time knows this is just a cycle. This is just a wave, and we adapt and we improvise and overcome, kind of thing. And when I read your positionless marketer concept, and we'll kind of get into the details, it's that attitude of, well, here's just the situation, I'll adapt. So it's not like I do SEO in this way and that's it. It's like, well, that doesn't work anymore, I adapt my tactics. Or you know what, I'm now a social media guy, I'm not an SEO guy anymore, because that's the travel of direction. Or I've got my Discord server, and I've got my TikTok, and I've got my Telegram group, and screw Google or whatever, right? So it's adapting and kind of following what works. So walk me through your concept of the positionless marketer, and kind of where it's like, obviously, if I'm reading the article right, you're a bit of an MBA fan. So walk me through that and kind of where that came about.
Yes, I think ultimately it's pretty much a primordial concept of how work is done, right? So if you think about the traditional way of doing work, especially since the Industrial Revolution, is with the modern assembly line, right? So what does the assembly line actually says? The assembly line says each person will do one task, which is easy enough to grasp and understand. They're going to master that task or that workstation, and they're going to do what they're going to do, and then they're going to pass the ball or the baton, move the baton to the next station, and then eventually, like if you have a car, then the car starts at the beginning. I don't know if you watch some of those videos, and then at the end of the assembly line, you have a car, and Henry Ford was kind of like the pioneer of that, and we got Charlie Chaplin in modern times doing things which are very funny. If you watch it, like on how kind of like he's an assembly line employee, and he tries to screw the screws like very fast, and all of a sudden everything gets messed up. So the concept I'm talking about, the positionless marketer, is actually kind of like rethinking that notion, right? That's what I'm challenging. I'm challenging the assembly line. I think the assembly line is, while it was good, it still is good in many. And if you think about it, like life is managed like that almost everywhere, right? Even when you go to a doctor, right? There's a specialist in ear, nose, and throat, right? And then they push you to another doctor that maybe is doing something with the liver. So many aspects of life work like that. Now let's pause for a second and go to basketball, which is really cool. So my story is that by the way, I'm flying to Boston Thursday morning to see the first two games of the NBA Finals, the Celtics versus the Mavs. And I'm a huge NBA guy, and I've never, you've seen my story, I started to become an NBA guy only in COVID, and I haven't seen a game since. So it's going to be the first two games I'm going to watch. I already pampered myself and bought kind of like courtside tickets. So there's a chance that either Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving, if they fall off, I'm going to catch them and kind of like simmer myself in their sweat. or something.
In your OptiMove T-shirt, right?
My
You got to
Optimove
get the
T-shirt,
branding.
and then I'm gonna probably break my back because they're huge people. But never mind that. So okay, so NBA. So I was a big NBA buff when I was a teenager. I loved Michael Jordan, and kind of like after high school, I lost interest. I didn't watch it for 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then kind of like The Last Dance comes about. It was COVID 2020. I watched The Last Dance, say Michael Jordan, kind of like brings me back. And I started watching games. When I'm watching the games, it's like, holy shit, like the game has really changed. What's going on here? Why are they shooting so many threes? Why are they always falling down when they're closing at the basket? How come you can't check a person and kind of like when you defend them? So many things have. Why is it so fast? Like it's like everything is super fast as compared to what it used to be. And all of a sudden you started seeing people doing things they never did before, and basically the game became positionless, meaning that you would see. So traditionally basketball is played with five distinct roles, right? You got 1 to 5, right? The point guard, the shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and a center. Then they're all kind of numbered 1 to 5. Point guard is the shortest person, the center is the tallest person. Point guard is supposed to facilitate, floor general, pass the ball, pass it for others. Center is beneath the basket. You have the tallest person, rim protect, play with the back to your basket, post up, all of those things. And kids would be trained to do those positions. Like if you're the tallest kid in your kind of like a team, you would be trained by the coaches to be a number 5. Like they would give you those skills. That was the old days. Today, you see Victor Wembanyama, who's a 19-year-old French player who's basically 7'4", which is 2.25, 227 something. He's insanely tall, insanely nimble, and just an amazing athlete. And he shoots jump shots from the three-pointers. He rolls the ball behind his back. He's got great dribbling skills. He drives to the basket. He's doing things that a person of his size is not supposed to do, right? It just shouldn't happen. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's called the Greek freak because he's a freak, right? He's doing things that you're not supposed to do. And of course, you have Steph Curry, who taught all of us that you can, shoot the ball from the logo, and that's a legitimate shot. It's okay. It's a legitimate three-pointer shot. So the game has really changed, and what you see today is players are positionless. So it's not like you are number 5 and you have to do this and this and that. It's you are a mix of skills, and then you have a role, right? So you're a 3 and D type of a guy, so you can defend and shoot threes. Maybe you're a scorer, but then the scorer could be the point guard, the scorer could be the shooting guard. So it's really much more fluid. It emphasizes versatility of play and velocity, which wasn't like that. And we can talk about why it happened. I think that the media boom. So like young kids, I just saw the Giannis Antetokounmpo documentary, and he says like he went to internet cafe in Athens looking at Kobe Bryant. So what does he do? The first thing he trains, like he wants to do stuff like Kobe Bryant, right? He doesn't know he's going to be 7 foot tall, and when he's 7 foot tall, like he should be a center. So he teaches himself to dribble, and because it's more fun, and there's more reasons, right? There's they've done a lot of studies on basketball, and they actually figured out that the game is kind of like flawed. The 3 point line. So if you make a 3 point shot with more than 33% probability, and a 2 point shot with 50%, then it's better to shoot threes because of the expected value. So what if we get a lot better in threes than we are today? We can have an edge, right? We can actually score more points. So analytics was partially housed, and this was discovered by analytics, was like this analytically obsessed GM called Daryl Morey at the time at the Houston Rockets. So he was like, leading the charge with analytics. So they discovered a lot of those things. And now you see that mostly what they're doing is they're shooting 3 pointers or high percentage twos, all of those things. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but trust me, the game became positionless, and that's a reality today. And I'm asking myself, what can tech learn from this, or marketing? What can marketing learn from this, and what can happen in marketing? That's the big question I'm asking after seeing that trend in basketball. And I'm going to pause here for a second because I've been on this long soliloquy, and I'm sure JB's got something to say.
I admire your optimism. Now, I was thinking actually. I mean, I was thinking about this. Might not seem related, but this is where my brain was going while you were talking, Pini. I was thinking about the way that skills develop. And so, for example, you're saying like you might have a player who turns out to be an awesome player, but the skills that they develop when they're developing as an athlete in their teens, in their schools, would probably be dependent on a deficiency of skills in the team, because you don't necessarily know the skills of that individual because they're not developed. And so very often people play where there is a gap, or they develop a style of play according to the strengths of the people around them rather than their own as yet undiscovered strengths. And I was thinking about that and thinking, the way that athletes and people in general develop is very often down to a shortfall around them rather than situations that are developed before they were even present in some cases. Maybe they've got a particularly brilliant center or whatever. Maybe they've got somebody that's knocking in threes. So they're not necessarily ever going to develop that part of their game. And they might, in fact, never know that they're even better at it. Sorry. So that's where my brain was going with that. Sorry about that. Like I say, it's kind of connected, but kind of not.
Yeah, that's very true and very interesting. About I saw this kind of like other documentary at one point that it actually covered supreme athletes, and it goes back to like having a lot of unstructured learning when they're kids. So like when kids should be allowed to experience, like if you have even a team, obviously the coach wants to win, right? But if you allow the kids to be creative, actually do stupid things, right? So what we would consider stupid, that's how they develop their the gamut of opportunities. Like what can they actually do with their talent? And you got to do it when you're a kid. So a lot of like this playground, unstructured types of courts or unstructured types of rules that they would do would ultimately develop their creativity. And I think that's the opposite of, to your point, like I'm going to do what my team misses, right? Because then I'm not able to explore or experiment with
We're
everything
talking
that I
about
can
two
do.
different stages in life as well, aren't we? So if you think of it
Right.
if you think of high school age as being, I'm using high school as a catch-all term here, but you're talking 11 onwards. But we're talking about the years before then when people have. So like my kids are getting into playing football, proper real football, and I'm encouraging them to play with a smaller football.
Very much so.
Really?
So
That's super important. Yeah. If you look at South
Why?
America,
Interesting.
sorry, John, I'm jumping in on your story here.
no, but you're absolutely right, because you're going to mention futsal, aren't you?
Yeah, that. Go on. I'll let you know better than I do. Sorry, go on.
Well, no, it's not just South America, although it is pretty dominant in South America. But it's kids start playing in a much smaller space with a slightly different set of rules, but it's all about what you do with the ball. It's not about size, power, or pace. It's about control and technique, which is why you get players like Messi, why you get players like Javier Mascherano, who was about 5'8" and played as a central defender somehow. Because he had technique, he had the skills, he could play with the ball at his feet, he never got caught out. I mean, he was a pretty remarkable player. And it's about developing skills, not sort of looking at somebody on TV and thinking, why can't I curl the ball like that? It's about, what can I do with this ball that's the right size for me? And
Interesting.
not in a game where the
In
biggest kids
basketball,
are going to dominate.
in basketball, it is like that. You have the 3 ball, the 5 ball, and the 7 ball. And I remember kids kind of like graduate through them. But you're right. In football, very early on, you have the proper ball, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. It's
Interesting.
Different set of skills.
I've seen people go start playing futsal as a way to improve their football skill, even as adults. just to really focus on ball control and working in tight spaces, kind of thing.
Interesting. Very
It's
cool.
like New Zealand rugby, where I think until you're well into your teenage years, it's all tag rugby. So there's no tackling. So it's all
Yeah.
about passing skills.
We played with the mashed can, like a soda can that we just, because we had no ball in school,
sure.
It wasn't allowed, so we just kicked the can like.
We had to use a tennis ball. We weren't allowed a real football.
That's the posh version. That's the posh version of it. Yeah.
Suddenly I feel really middle class because I played with a football. I've never felt middle class before.
Yeah. No, you're upper class. You're upper class. Yeah.
I think I've got vertigo.
So, okay. So anyhow, bring it back to the topic of positionless basketball. So basically, my prediction, and it's something that I'm already starting to see happening, is kind of like the birth of the positionless marketer. And that's very tightly coupled with the revolution in AI that we're seeing, in front of us. And what I'm saying is basically, this in market, it probably applies to other fields as well, but my field is marketing, so I'm going to focus on that. So in marketing, if you think about a campaign, in order to produce a campaign, and I'm specifically talking about CRM marketing campaign or retention campaigns, but Fintan is probably the same for a performance campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to produce a campaign, you need to go through an assembly line. You need to assemble that campaign of, let's say, 4 different departments or 5 different departments, right? You got somebody who's going to do the initial analysis and look through the data. So you got the data team. Then you probably have some kind of a studio that's going to do some design and artwork. Then you have somebody that's probably an ops person that's tying everything together, right? And after you do it, you got some analytics people that are going to analyze it. And when you operate in that fashion, when marketing is divided into a few professions, each profession is essentially takes a toll. Like every profession you add, you can probably add another week or a month to the length of the project, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because each profession, people have other priorities. Maybe they're on vacation, maybe they're sick, maybe they're this, maybe sorry, I can't. I still haven't gotten it from design. We've all seen it, right? We know that in a project, when you add more professions, you have maybe the comfort in the fact that it's going to see the light of day in a certain quality, but it dries you out. It takes so much time, you want to vomit, and and essentially that's what I'm talking about. So how do you break that, right? How can you do it better? So if you think about what's happening in tech for a long time, tech organizations, like modern tech organizations, there's like the 2 pizza pie analogy from Jeff Bezos. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Yep.
So JB didn't. So for JB's sake, it's basically Jeff Bezos says that like an R&D team should be, a team size that you can feed them dinner with 2 pizza pies. So let's say 5 to 8 people. And that team needs to be very much self-sustained, right? So they do their own DevOps, they'll do their own product, their own UX, their own QA, they do their own environments, and then basically they would build APIs around them to allow other teams to communicate with them or to consume their service. So he's creating a very small team that can be self-sustained for what? For speed, right? For speed, for better communication, for making sure there's no data loss or miscommunications, and then you can execute, and then you can deliver innovation into production much faster. Now let's go back to marketing. If I want to get rid of the assembly line, I need to make sure that instead of having a data specialist and an ops specialist and a designer, maybe I have some new positionless roles, like maybe I have the data storyteller. So how can a data guy become a storyteller? Because of AI and ChatGPT and solutions like that, right? All of a sudden, the data guy can write, right? The data guy can write today with ChatGPT, can write much better than in the past. If I'm a very good writer and I'm very good with with words, maybe I can use AI to also be able to present aesthetics and use design with AI, right? So each one of us is enhanced. It doesn't mean that I'm losing my core. So my core is still going to be data, right? If I'm the data storyteller, my core is still going to be data, but all of a sudden there's more layers of capabilities. So if you need me to do a simple task that has to do with storytelling, I can do it. I don't need to knock on the door of the content department. I can do it myself. I can produce it. Soup to nuts. I got you. Right? So all of a sudden, what happens? You can start to produce campaigns and deliverables with smaller teams. That means that communication is faster, everything runs faster. You can time from ideation to execution goes down by a lot, and it's just more innovative, right? You can delight your customers faster. You can iterate. You can test and learn. Now, if I have dabbled a little bit with your profession, which is design, now when we communicate and work together, it's like, hey, how do you do this? It's really cool. I could only do. So now I get you, right? The communication is better between us, right? The collaboration is better because now I have some appreciation to what you do. And before I just thought you were this annoying designer that just to do one banner, it takes you 5 days. That's all I thought about you. But now I was like, holy shit, it's hard to do a banner. It takes time. And lastly, I think the biggest benefit of the positionless marketer, it's fun. It unlocks human multi-potentiality. We are more than just one, square peg of like, hey, this is what you are. Fintan, SEO, that's it. You're nothing more than that. No, you're more than that. You can.
I'm straight. I am.
I don't know that that's true, though, Fintan.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a one-trick pony.
Yeah, right. So even if you are a one-trick pony, that's okay.
I'm teasing.
But no, I'm saying some people maybe say, I don't want that. Like I want my position. I don't want positionless. I want my position. But I'm saying is, you'll still have your position, but you're adding layers or more flavors of being able to execute a little bit on other professions. And if you think about it, like being a founder and entrepreneur, that's the thing I love the most. When I started OptiMove, what do? Like every founder is going to tell you they wear many hats, right? They're raising money and now they're the CFO, and then they're selling and now they're a salesman, and now they're doing talking about the website and doing new positioning, and now they're a marketer. And the next day, they speak to the engineers about what's needed to happen in the product. And you wear a ton of hats. You are essentially you're not going to find an entrepreneur that's not positionless. If you see an entrepreneur that's not positionless, don't invest in that company. Or even executives that the reason they can be good is because they can understand how work is done in their businesses. I understand almost every department in Optimove because I've done it myself at the beginning. I've done all of them. Now it may have changed and evolved and graduated, and now they do it better than I did it because they're professionals at it. But I understand them.
Yeah,
that's interesting because I realized something. So I've only ever worked for smaller publishing companies generally, because the idea of sitting in a big publishing company and just having one job to do just bores the fuck out of me. It's like you look in a magazine's masthead, like Runner's World, right? Runner's World has 2 sub-editors. What the fuck are they doing all month? It hasn't even got that many words in it. I'm like, whoa. I mean, you kind of want their job because they're working part-time. So I've done the writing, I've done the sub-editing, I've done production desk, I've done picture desk, I've done layout, I've done managing editing, I've done distribution, and I've done all
positionless. You are positionless.
But that means that
you are the positionless publisher.
Oh no, we've accidentally
and unemployed.
Unpositionable.
By the way, people who love small companies, to your point, right? You got small people, you got small company people and big company people. So you're a small company person because you can't handle the truth. No, I'm kidding. You can't handle being bored by one position. So naturally, you're gravitated
Mm.
to work environments that would offer you to basically showcase your multi-potentiality, JB.
Yeah.
And then you're happier.
When you look at it from a marketing perspective, you see it between, there's some people who love agency life and bouncing between projects and the kind
Right.
of the juggling and the chaos and the firefighting. And then there's other people who are like, no, I want to work on one project, one client, in house, do this at a very deep level. So there's definitely lots going on there. Or there's different personnel, or like I think with the small company, big company, the way I always think about it, it's more startup versus established, because typically size doesn't matter. So it's more, do you need the instruction book handed to you, like the IKEA instructions of
Right.
that, or do you want to write that instruction book?
As you go along.
And some people want to be the ones who kind of create it and write it, and other people, like, giving them that blank book is the worst thing in the world for them, and they really
Right.
struggle, and they look, I need a bit more structure and process, and I need to know, I need to be a bit more guided, and I'll do it well within the parameters, but I it's hard for me to define the parameters. um and I've seen kind of people struggle with both. It can be, it can
And
be
and
quite a
and
strong preference.
and that's been going on for forever, right? What
Yeah,
you
for
just
sure.
said is been going on forever, and we own. This is why I think this problem is so relatable, because we can all understand it. And
Yeah.
I'm seeing from your examples how easy. What I'm trying to say here is that AI changes that to some degree. So I'm not. I still think that like big people, big company people will be the same. They'll require more structure, but still within their boundaries,
Mm.
there's going to be some expansion. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure.
We're all going to expand. So even people like JB working for the small publisher, doing a lot of things himself, he will do those things at higher quality, right, with AI, and he probably be able to accomplish more things, right, because of automation, because of AI, because of something used to take him an hour and a half, now it's going to take him 15 minutes, things like that, right? So AI changes the game, and it allows us to be more positionless, whether we're small or big, right? We're expanding what we can do. And this means for companies greater efficiency. And the reason I'm so passionate about it, because Optimove from day one was built for the positionless marketer. So it's not a new thing for us. Like we've always wanted to eliminate some of the departments that participate in campaign creation. So we said there's one CRM marketing A team. They do the data in Optimove, they do campaign analysis in Optimove, they do segmentation in Optimove, do the research in Optimove,
Mm.
they execute in Optimove, and you still need the designers and the content. That's still around. But we've shrunk it down from 5 departments into 2. Sometimes, by the way, when we meet like a very established company and big company that they're set in their ways, they're like, no, we don't want to work this. We have
Mm.
we're not going to get rid of 2 departments. I mean, or although you don't need to, right? You can just reprioritize them to do other things which are more infrastructural, and they can deliver value elsewhere. So that's why I'm passionate about it, and I think I think the future of marketing is positionless, and I think that as Optimove, I'm steering us to be in the forefront of that. Where's
It,
my mic? I'm gonna drop it.
it's I think it's, so I completely agree. I think when there's AI, and there's also what do they call it, the no code concept, the no code or the low code. So there's so many tools. Like I needed to here's a great example. I needed to scrape some websites, right? I'm not a programmer. I can log on to an online tool, tell it what I want, click a go button, done. No Jira tickets, no begging a
Right.
developer, no bullshit. Just a couple of clicks, I got what I need. Or, you've talked about banner ads. So one of the biggest issues with banner ads is I need 15 size variations.
Sizes and shapes and right,
Ah,
right,
and nothing breaks the spirit of a designer. Then you're like,
right,
oh no, we've got 5 concepts. Because we need one for horse racing, football, basketball,
right,
F1, rugby, da da da
right,
da, and then we need 15 sizes, and then we've got 3 welcome offers, and da 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 da. Right? They hate you, right? And it's going to take
right.
months. So again, using the tools, using AI, there's plenty of code solutions now. They make one banner, bish bosh, you've got all the versions you could ever possibly need, and it becomes a self-service tool where you log in, grab what you need, and off you go. And I think a lot of that kind of self-service, or kind of, in a way, kind of do-it-yourself kind of thing about her asking, like, ChatGPT, brilliant. I watched my son make a Discord chatbot for him and his mates to schedule their Mario Kart tournaments. And he set it up in a way where everyone gets their local time zone. And literally all he did was he took something, put in ChatGPT, gave the instructions how he wanted to change, how he wanted to modify it, tested it 2 or 3 times. Bish bosh, he's got a bot now that's been used. Like it was probably one of my proudest moments. He comes to me, Dad,
Fintan,
go on.
Fintan. I think your son is positionless.
He came to me and he asked me for $10 for Discord hosting server, or like a server to host his Discord bot, because it's running on his laptop right now and there's a bunch of teams using his thing. Jeez, I was so proud, taking out the credit card of like, let's fucking go, son. Let's get you this server. This is it. But when you take it like that, of like a 12-year-old can just come up with the idea, make it, and go, then that translates to the 24-year-old sitting in the office, the marketing exec, the whatever, and they're like, right, I need to get this campaign live. I need a landing page. I need a welcome offer. I need a email flow to go on the back of it. I need to, like, all those bits are now, like you're saying, that kind of self-service available. The targeting, right? I'll pull out the data. I'll talk to the system. I'll get the CRM data and the positioning, and boom, boom, boom. Optimove's telling me what the offer is, and this is what I'm going to push out, and these are my user segments. And that one person army type approach, like, and I think that speed to market of, hey, this has just happened. We can have a campaign up and running, reacting to this in 20 minutes. This week, Conor McGregor's, he disappeared from his UFC press conference this week, right?
Wait, he's not doing the fight?
No, just he didn't show up for the press conference, right?
Okay.
But based on, like, event happened in the sporting world. It's clearly going to be a big gambling event for a lot of it's going to get a lot of eyeballs. It's Conor, yada, yada, yada. You could have had a campaign out the door in an hour of will he, won't he, what's going to happen next, and a whole kind of thing off the back of that, with the social media campaign, the emails, the bit of PR, landing page, and I think when you get to, why I like your concept of that kind of, you could just do that quickly, be highly targeted, highly relevant, and it's something you've talked about before in terms of I think it was 6-7 seconds to grab people's attention. And that really works if it's like super timely. The more relevant that is, the more in the middle of the zeitgeist that is, the more impact it has. And then it also terrifies your competition, because your competitors are sitting there going like, how the fuck did they do that? They're so quick.
Right.
We've only just realized something happened. And by the time I've logged a Jira ticket with 15 departments, they have it live. It's the start of the next football season, right? We've missed it. So that speed to market as well, I think, is also really, really crucial, because that's going to be we're moving to more and more of a social world. And when you look at TikTok and things like this, that relevance and speed and just being on it, that's not a Jira ticket world. You need empowered marketers who can just crack on and do the job.
So the whole, like, everything you're saying is like what we call it, kind of like, you democratize capabilities, right? So to your point, you can do this by going into an admin and fill out something and click a go button, and you have it live. And the software world has been going about democratizing capabilities to non-developers, to your point. And in many cases, this really unlocks a lot of growth. It unlocks scale. It unlocks and the more I think I think the next problem is going to be how you make sure that those teams are now democratized, that they're doing the right thing, right, which is a whole other thing. But in many cases the problem is the lack of democratization, and this is, I think, something everybody is obsessing about solving at the moment. And it's something very, very new. Like sorry, I mean, it's something not new. It's like a primordial managerial concept. Like, I'll give an example from another realm. My wife's mother is dating, and she's 70 something and he's 84, but never mind. uh, she's dating a guy who's was a very big time CEO of a multinational global pharmaceutical company, worth billions and billions of dollars, let's say 200 factories across the planet. And this company grew by M&A, right? So they've acquired, pharmaceutical company in Switzerland and Netherlands, and then India, and then this and that, like all over the planet, right? And he was the CEO, he was the COO for many years. So spent like 30 years there. So he tells me, like, when I was there, he was like, look, Pini, the bigger you grow, you always suffer more and more complexity in everything you do. There's more and more complexity, and that's the disease of companies, right? So as you grow, you face more complexity. That's just the way it is. And he said, like, we are pioneering in that field by basically what we said. We've pushed decision making and we've democratized decision making to the lower ranks. We would design the decision making process or the decision making framework, but we would empower and push decision making capabilities to the local factories, to the local. You just push it down, and the more you push it down, that's how you combat the problem of complexity, which is kind of similar.
It's like where I've seen it is where like you've got a head office and then you've got regional offices all around the world. So from a marketing perspective, and
Exactly.
you've either got a centralized marketing department or you've got regionalized marketing departments. And there's always this weird tension between, if it's coming from head office, people on the ground, oh, these idiots, they don't understand my market, this is completely wrong.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then the
exactly.
flip side is, if it's completely
These
decentralized,
idiots are
what are
not
they doing?
professional.
They're
Yeah.
sponsoring a under sevens rugby club. What the
Yeah.
fuck's going on here, right? So
They didn't go to Harvard. Like, they don't know shit. Like, these local pirates that are just running marketing as if it's 1999. And yeah,
exactly.
you're right. It's always like that. That's why like a healthy mix. I think a smart corporate, like HQ, they should really understand which decisions and how you empower the local markets to the same point. So you push down a lot of things that they can do themselves, and then you keep some of the things that you need to do, and you constantly need to build those frameworks of decision making. But
Yeah,
those frameworks need to have agility in them, and that's a balance of just managing a business, right?
yeah.
That's the whole.
It's
That's the
always
art of
it's
it.
always the wave, right?
But people that do it well, eventually we can talk about the concepts. Each situation is going to be different, right? One situation is much better to be localized, and another situation is much better to be centralized. And it depends, right? The art of a good executive or a good founder, a good entrepreneur, is to understand those problems deeply. And it depends, like, what's your recipe? What are you going to put there? It's too much salt.
Yeah,
You
I
need
agree.
you need to add fluid or lemon or something.
Good communication solves most problems. Is typically what it boils down to.
And bold decision making.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
I like that. Bold,
yes.
John, not bold. Big difference.
Bold. Yeah.
Sorry. I was just thinking hairy people
We
have way
needed
too
that.
much power, but yeah.
Nice. So, what's next for Optimove? What's coming up?
To infinity and beyond, as one of my favorite cartoon characters or something said. No, but yeah, Optimove continues to evolve. We're 500 people today, and 5 global offices. Continuing to play the tech game and manage our identity in the best possible way. And probably more acquisitions, probably expanding our offering to more avenues, but avenues that are very much related and connected to our core. And yeah, it's every size of the company presents new challenges, and my gift, not my gift, the gift I'm receiving is that my job changes every 6 months, and I need to be positionless and basically adapt and change and understand that, like, hey, I mean, yeah, we used to solve it like this, but it doesn't work anymore. So,
Mm,
and Optimove grows, and I mature, so it's a nice exchange between the two entities.
nice.
Um, not strictly related to anything we've been talking about, but what's your favourite sport? Is it basketball?
Yeah, 1,000%. I'm a bit like, I like football, of course. I got three boys, and they're yeah, I'm human, exactly. I like three boys, and they're all playing football. And it's funny, my elder one, he's like 9.5, and he's a little bit naive, and he's okay, like he's a good player, okay player, but he thinks that, like, he may have a chance to be like professional. And it's so cute, like, he's like, not in a desperate way, like he says, yeah, I think if I'll get accepted to that team, maybe I can be a player, he's like,
I love that
it's like,
thing
you
in
need to
kids where they assume that everything is about their own choice.
yeah.
I think that's
And I was
fantastic.
like, you're not playing that much. He was like, what do you mean? I play 2 hours a day on the pitch right outside. So, and yeah, but he doesn't have the genes for it, but it's cute. I'm saying, it's like,
It's lovely.
so yeah, he knows, like, he made me, he watched the Champions League finals, and he told me about all the players from both sides, and it was like, Vinny Jr. is gonna kill them, you'll see. And he's like, so yeah, but
And he
all
did
sports,
score the
like, we
final goal.
we did score the final goal, and yeah, all sports. So, but yeah, mostly basketball, football. I'm doing a little bit of American football. Not that I understand it that well, but all the commentator shows that I watch basically cover both. So sometimes I'll get a segment on American football, which is very weird to me. Like,
No, no,
it's a
I totally get
very
it. My brother's lived in the States for decades, and he explained it to me once. Unfortunately, I was shit faced drunk, but it made perfect sense. Maybe because he was drunk too, but he explained it, and I was just like, "Whoa, that's actually really clever." The next day, couldn't remember a word of it, but I do
It's a
remember
bit like
thinking,
people who,
"God, that's really clever."
it's like my Australian in-laws explaining the rules of cricket to me. So every time I go to Australia, they'll sit me down, we'll watch the cricket, they'll explain the rules, and I'll understand it for while I'm watching. But it's like the next time I'm back, I'm like a goldfish of like, what are we watching here? What's going on?
same for me. Same with baseball. I was just in Chicago, so it took me to the Cubs game. It's like
Sure.
Wrigley Field. It's monumental. It's one of the top three. Like, it's the oldest stadium, and it is really nice. By the way,
Yeah, I've been
it
there.
is really nice. And then they explain the rules, and I think by the sixth or seventh inning, like, I start to get in this rhythm. I understand what's happening. And then the next time I'm going to see a baseball game is going to be in 5 years, and I'll ask the same stupid questions, and I'll be that goldfish, just like you said.
Yeah.
If you're at Wrigley Field, though, just all you got to do is pipe up one little bit of trivia. Isn't this where Pearl Jam did those famous shows? That's it. So the subject is still Wrigley Field, but you've taken it away from baseball.
Yeah, Eddie
Do you
Vedder. There you go.
do you have a favorite basketball player, but historically and current,
I
if you like?
I mean, historically, it's definitely, I like those kind of like. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, as I said. I just think it's not only the basketball, something about, his physique and his demeanor, and there's something like the star quality that, yes,
His
exactly, and
mentality, yeah,
Yeah.
his
guy's a beast.
mentality and his
If Air Jordan was a separate company, it
right.
would be the second biggest sneaker company in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's insane. Hey, I'm not gonna show you my socks, but there's an Air Jordan there. Uh, but
I was lucky
yeah,
enough.
so
I
so
saw him
he's
play in his
definitely,
last season. You know.
No way.
Really?
I did, yeah, I did. For the Washington Wizards.
or Bulls?
For the Wizards.
Well, that's I don't know if that's that.
I was in
great as one could.
No, of course not. I was in
wasn't
Detroit.
his prettiest hour.
It really wasn't.
Oh,
I was in Detroit for a.
Are you linking Michael Jordan and?
No,
Eminem
I'm not going to mention that. I'm not going to mention that. I'm just going to say I was in Detroit for a press trip, and we went to see. No, I didn't. No? Although I do count him as a close personal friend. But do you put him in a phone book under M or E? I don't know. But yeah, so I saw my abiding memory of the game was we had like pretty nice seats and everything, and the guy next to me was like really getting enthusiastic about some shit or other, and I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Oh, that's Kid Rock down there just in front of us." And I said, "Oh, is he the guy that's shagging Pamela Anderson?" This is how long ago it was. And I thought he was honestly going to piss his pants the amount he was laughing, because he thought that British people using the word shagging was something that was made up in Austin Powers.
Really? They didn't know? Oh my God.
He didn't realize we actually say that.
It's like, yeah, of course. All right, Vanessa, that's great. That's great. Now, do you want to shag?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
and what's brilliant is he probably tells that story as well. So I was at this game, right? And there was this English bloke, and you'll never get. I thought it was a made-up word.
Yeah. I love that movie so much. I mean, even here in the company, when somebody says something, somebody tells me like a long explanation, I don't understand what they want, or someone's like, "What's your point, Vanessa?" So that's my comeback.
I only use one line, and it's from the third movie. And I'm going to be using it tomorrow, Fintan, which is, it's a Michael Caine line in the third movie. And he says, "There's only two kinds of people I hate, the intolerant and the Dutch."
yeah, with Fat Bastard. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I do love that line. I all the talk of the 3-point. I mean, the player that's kind of changed the game is Steph Curry. I mean, in modern terms, in terms of the 3-point.
So I love Steph. Yeah,
but isn't it?
I love Steph Curry. I love every player that is essentially like super entertaining. There's something unique. There's something special, like an artist, right? So Steph Curry is one of them. Luka Doncic is one of them. Kyrie Irving is one of them. You got those really exciting. Yeah, but Steph Curry gives every, Jewish teenager with not a lot of athletic capabilities, some kind of a belief that they'll be able to do something if they shoot the ball well.
But that's the thing. He doesn't fit the stereotype of the player. He's not the biggest guy on the court. He's not the quickest guy on the court. But he's the most precise guy on the court, and he's going to walk away with probably the most points on the court. And it's like those people, those footballers that play futsal and who have that technique when they step onto the football pitch, have that close control. They're going to go past the big strong guy every damn time. That's Lionel Messi against the England football team from 1996. They weren't a bad side, but are they going to do well in the World Cup? No, they're not.
It's coming home. It's coming home.
I don't know. I've got to be honest with you. I don't know. I'd like to think that we've got a chance at the European Championships. We have got a chance, but everybody's got a chance that's in it.
That's maybe coming to the summer house, not home, but maybe coming to the summer house.
Yeah, hang on though.
Spain.
That's the thing. In the UK, because we don't technically have summer, we also don't technically have summer houses. We call them sheds. It's coming to the shed.
It's the one-bed apartment in Marbella. Don't you have? Right?
Yeah, don't you have that show like A Place in the Sun or something?
Yeah, they're never in England. never ever.
I know. You're right. They're not in England. Yeah, that's true.
Yes, terrible show. Yeah, I'm out of question. I mean, I think we covered Cobra Kai when we were talking at ICE. Although Fintan, the first part of the final season of Cobra Kai is next month.
Oh, there's another season coming up. That's great.
Final season. So it's July. An eagle-eared listener wrote in. July, December, and then the final part's next year.
Awesome.
I'm pretty excited. Yeah, and I'm trying to get my kids into Cobra Kai.
Stuff.
It's really bad. It's like,
you guys
like
watched
kids, violence is wrong. Sorry.
How about we haven't discussed Fury versus Usyk?
Only watched the clips.
Yeah.
Didn't watch the whole fight.
I was trying to explain. I'm a big fan of boxing,
too late.
Right?
Too late at night. I'm too old for that.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why. Yeah, it was late.
I was explaining to a friend recently a different way to look at boxing and to appreciate it in a different way, because most people, certainly people my age, look at boxing and they're like, I don't really want to see two blokes beating the shit out of each other because what's the point? It's 2024. And I pointed out to her that actually boxing is the art of not getting hit. And when you watch boxing with that in mind, it's a completely different sport. It's like
1000%.
two big guys
it's not,
making sure the other guy can't hit them.
It's also not, it's not a martial arts. It's a sport. It's very different. Like if you want to practice boxing as a martial arts, it's not effective at all. No. Some of it is, but mostly you'll get killed. It's more of a sport. I'm doing a lot of boxing myself, so it's more of a sport and not martial arts. But you do have that element of the fighter mentality, and a person that's gonna. What happens when you push somebody to the very edge and how they respond. So that's.
There's a wonderful
feels like
line.
We can go on and on.
Hang on. There's a wonderful line in $1 Million Baby, where it says that the psychology of boxing is all backwards because you're stepping into pain. You're stepping into knowing that bad shit is coming your way. And did you ever read, there's a wonderful book about boxing called The Fight by Norman Mailer. Either of you familiar with that?
You've recommended it to me before and I still haven't bought it. I'll have to go get it.
It's a really wonderful book, and it's about the two training camps at the Rumble in the Jungle, George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. And it's a proper bit of journalism. It's a dude's journal from going and living this thing. And it's quite fantastic, but of course it has to go into their different mindsets, the different approaches of their camps and all of that. It's a really incredible book. And that's the book that probably changed my view on boxing. But I always say that, like, Tyson Fury, certainly when he was younger, was almost impossible to hit. Considering the size of the guy, his head never stops moving. He's not so good at it now, but to be fair, he's older and he's heavier. But he's still very, very difficult to hit. He must be, when he was young, he must have been a nightmare to fight.
It was mostly conditioning. I think what helped Usyk win, because Fury's style was pretty hard for Usyk.
So, I think Fury's style is hard for just about anybody, because you combine that with his reach and his overall size, and most fighters are going to be at a disadvantage.
They've already announced the rematch, right?
Yeah, did somebody say December?
I think the rematch is December.
Yeah, they will. So. Yeah, it would be interesting. Wow. Yeah. Really?
So
wow. Let's see if Fury shows up in shape.
Yeah. He does have that annoying habit of completely transforming. But yeah, if those demons had never been there after he became world champion, if those demons had never been there, you got to wonder what his path would have been like now.
But you can't play that game, because would he have become world champion without the demons?
Oh, sure. But if they'd not manifested in taking that time out, in doing the drink and doing the drugs, if they'd never taken him down that, because all boxers, and you do really see this, so many boxers are from a very, very poor background, and it is their route out, and it is hunger. And when they start to make it, and Tyson is a great example of this, when they make it, when they get the money, when they get the house, when they get the cars, they lose their edge.
Dude, Rocky 3, The Eye of the Tiger. There's a movie about it.
There is.
That's The Eye of the Tiger.
Funny because it's true. But if he hadn't had Apollo Creed...
Rocky. I mean, Sly wrote that movie because of Muhammad Ali saying, like, I can't be a world champion while sleeping in silk pajamas.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's exactly what you're saying, and it's a really good analogy in life in general. Like, what do you do after you succeed? How can you maintain the hunger? What's your motivation at that point?
To be fair, only
100%
you two
human
can
nature.
answer that one. I can't. I'm still waiting for mine.
Well, then you're lucky.
Yeah.
You enjoy the hunger.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
Very hungry.
You're the hunter.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Right.
John.
Good.
I wish I had the hunger.
Listen, if I can do anything to help you both regain your hunger, then just let me know. You can call me Apollo. It's worth noting as well the passing of Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed, who's very talented and by all accounts a very lovely man. And I do believe that the role of Apollo Creed is a very, very difficult one, because you've got to be a combination of confident, bordering on arrogant, but also humble and human, like, in fact, a boxer. And he absolutely nailed it. He was great. Big fan.
Yeah.
God bless you, Carl. Pini, thank you very, very much for joining us. Sorry about the slightly unconnected things at the end there. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Gambling Files podcast, please find us on LinkedIn. Give us a big, juicy, succulent like. That nearly went wrong. You can find us under the name The Gambling Files Podcast. You can find us on Twitter under The Gambling Files. I think the handle is just @GamblingFiles. You can connect to myself, John Bruford, or Fintan Costello, also on LinkedIn. We're also both on Twitter. And you can find all of our previous episodes at www.thegamblingfiles.com. If you enjoyed it, please share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, and we'll see you next time.